was to the back of his head and his arm, right? That was bloody. Where did all the blood come from? That was all the way down the front of his sweatshirt, Ed, and the front of his pants.
She could also have been taking fiber controls. Now, normally when I take a hair sample off of clothing, I'm going to take a small piece of that clothing to give to the hair analyst to say, okay, this is the article of clothing I took the hair from, so this should be there. Anything that doesn't match this is the foreign material you should concentrate your efforts on.
Do you need to do multiple cuts for that?
Not really. One is usually sufficient. But, I mean, I know she was swabbing a lot of blood samples, and she swabbed around the sleeve for the DNA samples that were submitted out to California. But
maybe there were blood stains that they didn't want to see tested. I don't know.
I have a question.
The one thing that I kind of when I think back
Tom's next
on the closing, that I thought that they didn't lean into as much, and obviously there were elements of it sprinkled throughout the closing, but in terms of the, just the processing of the crime scene and the lack thereof, and the lack of any kind of chain of custody, like, I mean, he mentioned it, but I don't know that it was really kind of drilled in as much as it should have been. But and look, I'm nitpicking at this point.
No, you're not, Bob. You're not. You're 100% right. My head exploded multiple times when I saw what was done and what wasn't done. It's like you live in New England, dudes. You don't know how to process a crime scene in the snow? Are you kidding me? There are protocols for this. Okay?
They denied
they never worked one in the snow effort before. 20 years they'd never done one in snow.
Right, and then they denied that there's how you secure evidence and how you use an evidence log and how.
If they,
I'm not sure.
If they couldn't even process it because of the snow, which I agree, I mean, that's ridiculous. They could at least, I don't know, monitor and secure it and find somebody, I don't know, who can, because, I mean, once they abandoned it that morning, I mean,
it's a free for all.
That's it. I mean, they've lost any of that taillight at that point. It could come from anywhere. Can't.
Everything they did on a police procedural level was wrong. From the first officers on. As a first officer, when I was on patrol in the NYPD, I would have been in the house. I'd be knocking on the door, checking on the occupants of the house for their welfare.
Wallace.
Wait, I have a request for Tom's question. Like 20 people said, let Tom ask his question. So, Tom, can you ask your question, please?
I just, I was actually ruminating as I was thinking back of watching this, in my mind, drama of when Brennan was going through whatever it was he was going through, as he described it. I made a mistake with regard to the cuttings from the back. Forget how long that took. What is Lally thinking as he's sitting there at the table while this is going on?
Tom, we had discussions about this the other day, and I mean, I was going crazy saying it's the prosecution. I mean, and not just Lally, McLaughlin, both of them, 3 years. And what are they watching him crash and burn? Do they not know that they're on the hook for this as well? Do they not get that? And I thought it was great that Alan, went after all of them on this today, because, I mean, he doesn't get a pass for that. It's ridiculous.
Ed,
thank you. I'd go back even to Jennifer McCabe and some of the other testimony there. To me, it seemed like, this is trial 2. These people already testified in 2 grand juries, one federal, one state, Commonwealth, and a trial. And this judge was on the trial. I thought that Brennan was suborning perjury. He had to have known that McCabe went up there and she wasn't prepped. Are you kidding me? You can see the difference between the first trial and this trial and how she testified.
Right.
Okay.
The demeanor alone.
Right. And the makeover too. But
the glow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you telling me that Brennan allowed her to get on the stand without him prepping her?
Not a chance.
I never testified in a case without ever being prepped.
Not a chance.
No. And the even stronger example, even though he didn't get his hand in the cookie jar because the defense waited to bring it out with the x-rays, that's an even more impossible thing to understand, because I mean, John O'Keefe's right arm is about as important as any evidence in the whole case. And there are x-rays at the autopsy. And Welcher, if he was telling the truth, which let's assume he was, and he says, I looked at the x-rays and, I didn't see one of the right arm. This guy's an accident reconstructionist. He finger painted his arm. He's well aware that the arm is the arm. What would he do if he's looking at the x-rays and he says, all right, I see an x-ray of the foot, the right leg? He would call Brennan and say, dude, where is the right arm? And he said, Welcher, I didn't get one. And we know it exists. So what happened? Doesn't it have to be Brennan?
It has to be
Brennan.
What else could it be?
It has to be Brennan. It can only be Brennan.
I think there was a lot of projection in his cross-examination questions. That's
Think,
what I
Runkle,
think.
do you agree that it was most likely Runkle that Brennan never sent it to him?
I don't really see how it could be anything else, because if it was anything else, you would think Brennan would be like, if we assume the Brennan is ethical thing, which I'm gonna, it's
Is this a proof by contradiction thing?
yes, that's exactly
Wrong
it.
answers
Okay, great.
only.
Yeah.
If we assume that Brennan is ethical and that he's given his witness the x-rays, and his witness gets up and says there is no x-ray to the arm,
He's got to
what does
correct.
he have to do? He's got to be like, can you explain what this document is? He's got to correct that to the jury. He's got that ethical obligation, and he doesn't do it.
Right.
So either he's unethical in that he failed, like he misrepresented to the jury the lack of x-rays, or he's unethical for not giving his expert the x-rays.
Don't you wish that the defense in the cross-examination, don't you wish they used the x-rays when Welcher was up there on an island and Brennan can't do anything other than slink under the table and try to crawl under a rock and grill Welcher and say, what the hell is about these x-rays, and force him to basically say, I never got that. Or I mean,
he was going to have to answer it one way or another.
It's
going to have to be an answer.
As an observer, that you never saw that confrontation in real time, because
I wanted to ask all of you, because Mark and I talked about that last night. Do you think that they were thinking that they were going to get the opportunity to do that on rebuttal? Because,
that's exactly it. They were saving it for the rebuttal.
Right.
And the thing is it worked for saving it for the rebuttal because they blew up the entire rebuttal.
Yeah.
Like, let's assume Welcher had some experiment where he was leaning into it, or, that has every bit as much scientific validity as his first experiment, which is basically kids' science fair volcano exploding kind of level.
That's more advanced, Ian.
Right. Come on.
So, he's going to come back with some more finger painting, some more volcano eruption and whatever else. And they prevented that from happening. They basically, they basically were just like, okay, you can recall him, but he's now across a landmine field. And if you want to walk there,
is that a better trade-off though? Is that a better trade-off to have destroyed him, even putting on any rebuttal, than being able to pants him on cross with the x-rays? I guess is the $1 million question. I don't
destroy him on cross. He's finished. He's not going to be on rebuttal. He's destroyed. And if he's not destroyed, Brennan's destroyed. And either way, they're cooked.
Yep. Yeah. It's, to me, when I sit there and I think about and I hate to keep harping on the kind of the Bowden thing, but that investigation or the lack thereof and the way they secured the scene in a case where the evidence is in question, the way that it is in this case, and the fact that there was no real chain of custody to speak of. And we've got 7 lawyers and a retired CSI cop here. We all know that the chain of custody is everything. It's the only way we know that we can trust the evidence, because we know where it's been. We know where it's been open. We know when it's been resealed. And the fact that it didn't exist, I just don't like.
With the lack of logs, who'd you give the thing to? I don't know.
Right. Whatever happened to?
I don't know.
Whatever
Where's
happened
log? It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Whatever happened to if you didn't write it down, it didn't happen.
100%.
That's the old DD5.
Right. Look,
I said 5, it never happened. Yep.
I said it on my show numerous times. nobody in any of the district attorney's office in the 5 boroughs of New York City would have taken this case to a grand jury. Not one of them.
No.
I've been saying for years.
And none of that evidence would have been allowed in. Hello.
No photographs, no sketch, no measurements. Nobody knows where anything is.
I don't know how they weren't screaming like bloody murder when the Aperture Science people were saying, well, this test was not meant to simulate what happened to John O'Keefe. I'm like, okay, if it's not even attempting to simulate what happened to John O'Keefe, how is it legally relevant?
Right.
What is it doing here?
How about why is he dressed up like John O'Keefe?
well, then why did he give an opinion with a finding?
Yeah, like what are we talking about? Oh, this has nothing to do with anything. Why am I offering it as an exhibit? I don't know.
I did know when he said that on direct exam. He was examining his own lawyer. I was like his own expert, and I was like, I'm confused. Why is he asking why is Brennan making a point like a hey, I'm gonna make this big point. You were not trying to recreate anything, and I commented at the time, like you're saying on civil law, like what?
I want the exhibit struck. I want all their testimony struck. I want the experts struck.
A lot of people are asking this. Does anyone know the answer? Is the person who was chosen as the foreperson? I know, Candy, you asked it on our channel. I saw a lot of people in the chat too here. Was that chair moved last week? Is that the juror who was moved last week or something? Does anyone know?
Listen, I have no concerns about the foreperson. The judge knows that this foreperson is going to be treated properly and so forth because she goes for dinner with him all the time. And I'm kidding.
Mel, I gotta step out for a second.
Okay, Ed.
You're on the clock, though, Ed. We expect you back in. Yeah, I
So
don't know.
we don't know that was the guy whose seat was moved. That's not.
I don't know.
something we
I like that. That's the kind of shit you're gonna have to get on the Twitter machine. Like that's gonna be all speculation and you know, it's supposition. I think. I just think that this thing's gonna come back probably. Like I want to hear your guesses, and all of us obviously know you can never guess what a jury's gonna do, but like I'm guessing like end of day Monday. Is what I think.
That's what I voted in the poll.
Well, we took a poll today. We had 15,000 votes in our poll today, and we had 39% saying there would be a verdict by the end of today, 33% saying verdict before lunch on Monday, 17% said verdict before lunch Tuesday, and then anytime after lunch on Tuesday or a hung jury was 9%. So, I mean, 15,000 is a pretty decent sampling.
How long did they actually deliberate? Not like the counting clock that's including them getting dismissed, but how long did they actually deliberate today?
An hour.
Less than 2. Yeah, it's less than 2 hours.
Probably Monday around lunch or after. I don't.
Wow. I mean,
they'll get their one last free lunch.
Putting a lot of faith in this jury. We're all feeling pretty strong. So one thing that AJ did. So when he was arguing, like he was outside, he didn't have a shoe, he didn't have this, he had a glass that could have come from the kitchen. Like when we lost, actually, Mel.
We lost our host.
When
it's like the substitute teachers here.
Right. When he said that, I was like, wait, he should clarify because they haven't seen the video yet to know that John O'Keefe came out with a glass. Does anyone think that Alan Jackson should have clarified that? Because Hank was able to make it seem like Alan Jackson was saying that John O'Keefe didn't have a glass. Did I make any sense?
I don't remember that part.
So Hank, I mean, Alan Jackson was like, you guys, when the cops showed up and they didn't do any investigation, they found a fellow fallen officer on the ground. He's not dressed for the winter. He doesn't have on a shoe. He's holding a glass that, I don't know, could have come from a kitchen. Right. I thought he should have added there because at that point, officers had not yet seen the video. They did not know the glass came from the bar.
Yeah. That would be a good. Remember that. Yeah, that would have been a nice. I mean, I think they understood it, but that's a nice detail to add.
Well, I wish you would have waited to ask that till Ed Wallace was back because I love asking every cop that I can get my hands on whether or not they thought there was enough PC to go get a warrant. I mean, without question, you're going and asking about the
Crying.
search. But I like that this concept that there wasn't enough probable cause to go get a warrant to get in that house has just been something that has bugged the shit out of me.
He's back. Here he is. He's back.
Good.
I heard you. First of all, they never were able to prove that glass was in his hand. Second of all, they don't know where the glass came from. It hasn't definitively been linked back to the bar. Yes, I would have wanted to go in to see if there was a similar glass inside the house. Okay, whether they had a bar or was in the kitchen or whatever the case may be. None of that was done here. Yeah, I mean, I could have got into the house on an emergency exception to a search warrant for a wellness check because I got a dead body in somebody's front lawn, and I know there's supposed to be 2 people in there because of the sister-in-law out here. Okay, and hey, what's going on? I'm going in. Okay,
Right.
If I have to kick the door down, I'm kicking the door down. I'm going in and I'm searching for them. Okay, then we'd find out what happened to the dog, right? Because I should have been attacked as soon as I kicked the door in. But okay, and then that might be another crime scene because probably would have shot the dog.
I mean, if I'm let's say I'm just standing there as a defense lawyer, and like somebody says, "Tag, you're a cop today," and I'm like, "Okay, I got to investigate this murder." I'd be first going up and asking, "Okay, can we do a consent search?" And we say, hey, listen, we know you're not involved. The usual trick police officers pull and say, we're not worried about you. We just want to go in and, get some pictures to confirm, so that we can show that you're not involved. Because if you assume Karen Reed is guilty, wouldn't it be great for for everybody if they've got all the pictures showing everything, like party detritus? It's not super clean, but it's also no blood splat. Like, wouldn't that be great if those pictures could have existed? I don't think they could have, but then if they don't, then you at least put in for the warrant. Like, even if you don't want to go, even if you don't think you can go in for a wellness check subjectively, you're like, because wouldn't it be so much better for when they're sitting there on cross-examination to go, we applied for a warrant. We put everything we had into that warrant application. And the judge said no. So,
well, that's a PC issue. But I had legal right to go in that house to search for victims and to make sure everybody that was in that house is okay. Now, once I'm in there, I'm there legally. Whatever I see, smell in front of me is all good. All right, it's plain view. But then if I smell cleaning fluids, I smell bleach, I smell ammonia, whatever the case may be, right? All right, my suspicion level comes up. So remember, I'm a crime scene guy. I'm a forensics. I'm a certified crime scene analyst. So I'd be the detectives from the squad would be out there, and they'd be interviewing the Alberts in their house, maybe, or pull them out and interview them. And then I'm going to tell them what I saw and what I smelled when I went in there and what they said to me. Okay. And then if they don't give us consent and we can establish PC, we'll go do a telephonic warrant or go to get a judge and get a warrant.
See, what bothers me about this, and I'm not so sure I agree with the exigency, but this is an illegal battle. But I hear your point and raising.
I'm all with Ed kicking the door.
That's not the point. My point is this: they don't, in this case, have any intellectual curiosity. Because how about knocking on the door and saying, "There's a guy with one shoe on, a glass." No coat on. He's not dressed not dressed appropriately. I don't know what's going on. How about he's on your lawn? Did you see anything? Can you help?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
coming to your house.
What does anyone know what happened? How this guy ended up on your freaking lawn?
You mean you might want to talk to the people in the house about what they potentially witnessed or heard relating to this body? Wow, what a concept!
Sorry to wake you up, but there's a guy.
There's a man pissed out in the snow.
Anybody know about
man pissed out in the snow. There's a guy unresponsive. It's a cop, for Christ's sake. How about officer down?
Yeah,
right. Ed, you can speak to this maybe a little bit better.
So in my neighborhood at one point, 2 houses were broken into. Like 2 houses, somebody broke into them. And the police went door to door and they knocked on my door and they were like, hey, did you see anything? And being at this point in law school, I was like, I don't really have anything to say. And they're like, well, can we come in? And I'm like, no, you can stay on the porch. And they're like, we'd really like to come in. We, why do we have to talk to you out here on the porch? It's really not a good place to talk. We want to come in. And that was for like a couple of people lost their Xbox or whatever, not dead police officers.
Right.
On your front lawn. I mean, like, how helpful would it have been if say, for instance, Ed goes in, or, one of these guys goes in on an exigency, situation, and, Chloe's snuggled up in her dog bed, going on a fight. I mean, how much would the Commonwealth have loved to have had that snapshot, or a cop having seen the dog, Chloe, just chilling? Oh, the dog was fine. I mean, in terms of them being able to prove their case and being able to say, hey, we went, like, their lives would have been so much easier had they gone in and done it. And the fact that they didn't do it, and their connection with MSP and with Canton PD is just, that's what makes us all think that something nefarious went on in that house. It's by the mere fact that they did nothing is what brings my head there automatically to think, what are they hiding?
Yeah.
And
is it reasonable for the occupant, who is a police officer, with all the commotion that's going on in front of your house, not to get up and come out and see what the hell is going on in your front lawn?
I mean, come on, dude. I don't know how many dog owners we have out of the 8 of us on here. I mean,
why would a police officer be worried about the dead body in his front yard? That doesn't seem concerning at all.
Really? Yeah, that sounds like a you problem. So
again,
my dog would be going insane if I had that much commotion going outside. My dog goes insane if somebody's just walking their dog by our house on
or if an animal we can't even see scurries past in the dark.
My dog, I have a red lab, and I call it a window tough guy, because she'll, somebody comes by, she's up in the window barking, so she's my early warning system.
100%.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard my 2 dogs?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just insane. They bark at everything. And
speaking of dogs, did they ever test the bottom of John's socks to see if there was any dog hair?
Socks
No,
never
don't
made
get
it
me
into
going
evidence.
with the socks.
Socks never made it
Where
into
are the
evidence.
socks?
They never made it into evidence. They were on his feet at the hospital. I've been saying this since a long time. He had a shoeless house, John O'Keefe, right? So we know that they thought Karen Reed was guilty because she didn't take her shoes off when she went back in there, because she killed him and knew he was never coming home. If he went when he went into the Albert house, the 34 Fairview house, he would have taken off his shoes as a courtesy. There would be dog hair all over those socks. The socks never made it into evidence.
And just beyond even courtesy, it had started to snow. Like, you always take your shoes off when you got wet feet walking into somebody's house, because that's civilized society.
That's why I think whatever happened to him happened immediately. Okay?
Right.
Because he had no hairs and fibers underneath his hands, his nails. He wasn't fighting with anybody. Okay. He maybe got one shoe off before, boom, he gets hit in the eye.
Yeah.
And then cracks his head open and the dog's all over him. Now I have a sweatshirt. I have a couple, actually, from when my dog would play roughhouse with me. I had the same holes, the same marks in the sweatshirt, the same tearing that occurs, because they latch on, and then what do? They pull down and away.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There's no way we're getting to all these super chats, but here's a good question. TG wants to know, is it possible we should allow jurors to research throughout the process? We're in such a connected world, and wouldn't this lead to more informed jurors on every case? I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's a good question, and we understand what you're thinking, but no, we don't want unfiltered nonsense, because unfortunately, in such a connected world, that you're getting a lot of people just talking straight out of their ass, and that would be very dangerous.
And also, the instant jurors can research is the day that your civil rights evaporate, because the whole system of protecting your rights against searches and so forth is based on that this evidence doesn't go in. And so, you might say police don't torture you for information because they're good people and so forth. It's actually because if they do, they can't use it in your case. That's the thing that prevents it, because otherwise you'll have jurors going, well, we heard that, this witness or that the accused was beaten with a hose for 6 hours, but then he confessed to it. So that's good enough for me to convict.
I think my favorite. Go ahead.
When you do Google searches now, the first thing that pops up is an AI
I know.
of your search. Okay. So, another YouTube creator put in the photograph of the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm, and AI immediately came back with dog bites and scratches.
Really?
You know why? Because it looks exactly like dog bites and scratches.
And if it looks like dog bites and it barks like dog bites and it leaves
I don't
hair
have to be
like
a robot to know that, man.
Well, I did a little test here where I sent the picture because very few people in my circle are following this because it's Canada, and so not as many people interested. So I sent it off to a bunch of defense lawyers, the injury pictures, and the question I got asked over and over and over again was, which police dog did that? Because we need to know for when this police dog does it to our client, then we can say that there's a history. They're like, you know, they were very much like, which officer has a poorly trained dog that is ripping people to bits? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
what's
crazy? It's like the first. I mean, it's so crazy that something that looks like that has gotten us to where we are now without a bruise. It's just so nonsensical. I can't fucking wrap my brain around it.
Where's the bruises? I'm like,
where's the broken bones?
Somebody who gets hit,
Where's the torn ligaments?
I don't care what part of your body, there's going to be massive bruising. It's like the whole lack of bruises to me, like, just ended the case. I'm like, the man definitely wasn't. I hit a deer, I think, going 6 miles an hour, and this thing, it was an old like Chrysler 300M. They had a real, like, the front end of that thing was real low. It crumpled 6 miles an hour. Like, I stopped for the first deer that came frolicking out of the woods. I'm watching it prancing around on the other side of the road. I'm slowly proceeding. I don't see its buddy coming right behind it, and I hit it going 6 miles. It crumpled the front of my car, and I killed the deer at 6 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I just, you know,
Right. The damage has to be tantamount to the injury. That if it did that to the car, there are bruises. That's it. That was established by everyone, including their expert, who said, but I couldn't check the x-ray. So, you know, maybe there was a hairline fracture.
I tried to show my audience that I had a tail light and a hammer, and I'm whacking away at it. Now I'm just holding it, and I'm trying to say, look, this is Newton's third law. I'm talking about equal and opposite reactions, right? I'm slamming this thing with a hammer, and I'm still not generating enough energy to break this, okay? So it's going to require a lot more energy to break this. But if I'm able to break this, well, guess what's going to happen to me? If I'm the one breaking it, right, I'm going to have broken bones associated with that. It's like I told them, you ever watch those Hollywood shows? You watch a guy get shot with a gun and he goes flying across the room, right? Literally flying through the air after being shot. Well, physics says that can't happen, because if he's flying across that room, then the shooter's flying in the opposite direction, right? If the gun had enough energy to do that, the shooter's going to have that same reaction in the opposite direction, equal but opposite, all right? And then, you know, trying to explain physics, you know, in the simplest of terms. So I said, yeah, so if an arm hit that to break it, it's going to be a lot of energy transference from the vehicle to the arm, and that arm is going to be shattered, okay? Right. And you're going to have torn ligaments, and you're going to have torn cartilage. You're going to have dislocations at all the joints. You're going to have compound fractures and bone breakage, and be in trouble. He did it, okay, with a ballistic gelatin arm and a skeleton inside of it. He did it, and he had all of that.
Yep.
Okay.
This case should have taken
phenomenal.
3.5 weeks to try.
Speaking of energy, I asked ChatGPT at one point how much energy there would be at a car going 25 miles an hour in reverse, and how short I am for that car suddenly winding up in space. It said it was off by a factor of 15,000.
You got to understand, you're talking to an engineer.
It's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Anything's possible with an engineer.
Yeah,
there's
well,
no exact science. I'm engineer. I'm like, what about the bridge makers? Like, you're talking about like bridge guys, like guys that are building bridges. They don't believe that there's any exact science when it comes to engineering. That's terrifying. I'm no longer going to drive over bridges if that's the fact.
Some of you may have heard this before, or some of you may not. I have posited the existence of an unexpected dark matter black hole that appeared at the lawn at 34 Fairview, and that explains so many things. The unexpected dark matter black hole is the gravity that caused John O'Keefe to wind up on the lawn. It appeared exactly in between the lens of the camera and the taillight, causing the taillight lens color to appear to be different due to Doppler shift. It explains many things.
Allison, do not start Googling. You got her. She's already all in on it.
Oh, please.
That theory doesn't sound that crazy.
That doesn't sound that
the amount of gravity caused a warp in space-time, and that's why the time on the different things is different, because the clocks are literally ticking at different rates. It's relativity, people.
I'm getting ahead.
I think they're going to disregard all that garbage. I think they're going to disregard all the cell phone data, like all that stuff. I find to be too confusing, like for even me. Like, you think they're going to hang their hat on all of this cell phone data and the location data and the 3-point turn and all of that BS? It's like John wasn't hit by a car. His body, the injuries don't match a car strike. I think it's that simple.
No, I agree. I think there's a firewall of experts that are forensic pathologists and engineers that if Brennan can't knock them all out, they're screwed. And I think the rest of it is all interesting and potentially could it help or hurt? But how do you, even if you think, oh, Burgess proved that, that's the right key cycle and they're there. And then you say, yeah, but the pathologists all say, I'm paraphrasing, no car accident. The engineers say no car accident. I mean, everything goes back to that. And if you can't break through that wall, they lose. They have to.
This case should have taken 3.5 weeks to try. I think that the evidence of that, best evidence of that, is that the defense pared things down, and they did a lot better job, in my opinion, this time. I think that the bow tie juror who's going around saying the nightmarish stuff that he's saying believed that, and that's what they came down to because there was so much irrelevant stuff. I think that a lot of this stuff has to do with like the lawyerly part of things without thinking about who you're trying the case to. Right. You're not trying the case to 12 lawyers or scientists or, I mean, there might be a couple on there, but you're trying this case to regular people. And I agree with Melanie. It was just like that first, now that I've seen the first trial, it's like, wow. Like the defense, in my opinion, completely shifted the burden onto themselves. The way that they were putting this unbelievable third-party, four-party culprit defense that was just like, I'm going, oh, like, no way, man. Like, no way.
Tom, where you been all my life, man? I was screaming it for you. I'm like, what are they doing? It was, and I so that,
as you know, and I've learned from some really good lawyers, and as long as I can, my goal is to streamline as a defense attorney. I also do civil stuff, and that also I streamline and it's who my audience is and how am I going to make them understand what I need them to understand without being egotistical and and I've had my criticisms of all the lawyers, and I'm sticking with Yannetti as the best one as far as cross-examination goes. Because even using words, even like gesticulation and stuff that Alan Jackson would use, I mean, come on, man. And
how about Heba Toba and Coop Counter Coop from Hank Brennan?
I mean,
my head was going to pop off.
Yeah, Wisniewski spots. I mean, come on. That's
my
favorite example is sort of a reverse because it was criticism on me after the camp trial, and before I knew Melanie, she had one of my favorite quotes, because after it was over, I went back and I watched the court TV coverage, and they did not believe we were going to win. They just did, like, criticizing me and all that kind of stuff, whatever.
Any chance?
And when it came back not guilty, and Melanie started listening to the talking heads after it was a not guilty, and she was saying, I can't even listen to these people. they're talking about, well, if literally, watch it, if this was a jury of robots, this guy would have been convicted.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, what do you like? But that is the example of, as far as I'm concerned, it's normal people on the jury that need to understand this stuff. And I think that the simpler it is, the more streamlined it is, without using such big lawyerly words and egotistical words and stuff, the better off you're going to be with the jury. And I think the worst that's going to happen in this case is an OUI conviction. That's the worst that's going to happen.
So.
I'm predicting a not guilty across the board, because not only is there not evidence, but they did a good job this time without. And I said I think the last time I was on with Melanie, I wouldn't call Proctor. And I think they did a great job. He is the boogeyman without giving him the opportunity to clean anything up.
Yeah, it's like Jaws, like in the first half of Spielberg's, original Jaws. Like, you don't see the shark, you don't need to.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Well, and the other thing is Brennan cross-examining Proctor. It would just be Brennan testifying.
Yes.
Brennan testifying, and then Proctor says yes.
Right.
Well, that would have been the most robust cross ever, I'm sure. That would have allowed a very robust cross.
Listen, he testified the whole trial.
Yeah. Do you remember when he said usurped for usurp?
Usurped. That's Tom's point. Don't use words like usurped.
Tom, that's not anything anyone says in Boston. That's not a Boston thing. Please tell me it's not a Boston thing.
That's not a Boston thing.
My theory is that Brennan does it on purpose. And my theory is that he does it on purpose to piss people off, to make them make a mistake.
How do you mess up Glasgow?
On purpose.
That's not even close.
It wasn't
even in the ballpark. Wasn't even on the planet. Like, that was moon to earth.
Tom, no offense though. If any state in the United States needed hooked on
offense
bonnets,
taken. Offense
yours.
taken already. Already taken. But I didn't even hear what you said, and I'm offended.
So I did some training in a town in Massachusetts. It's spelled Peabody.
Peabody.
Yeah. Everybody else, it's Peabody. Up there, it's Peabody.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry for everybody else. How's that?
Okay. The name of the freaking president of the United States, one of the founding fathers of our country. He's got a town named after him up there. But how do you say it?
Quincy.
Quincy.
Wow, what do you say?
They've been teaching me.
Quincy.
No, it's Quincy.
Yeah.
Quincy. Yeah, I had family from there. Tom, I'm from Massachusetts too, so I'm going to back you on this. We don't need to.
Named after.
You know what? I
President
watch you,
Quincy.
and I'm like, I know, I like that guy.
I never want to hear shit about the South ever again when it comes to corruption or anything else, man. Massachusetts making all the Southern boys feel pretty good right about now.
I do have a good piece of history from up your way. I have a crime scene sketch of the Boston Massacre prepared by Paul Revere.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, not the original, the copy. The original's in the museum up in Boston.
Still, that'd be interesting to look at, though.
Yeah, you should see you got the detail down to the buckles on the shoe.
Wow.
Yeah, the more I like, Tom, as I watched both trials, David was, and I loved when they brought Alessi on. I thought Bob was great for the technical side of it, the science, but I loved Dave Yannetti, man. I missed him in this trial. He didn't have much of a role, but I just loved everything about him. I love his demeanor. I like the way that he just straight talks. He's got a very calming presence. There's something about his tone and his tenor that I just he has me listening intently whenever he's crossing or directing or making an argument, for that matter. Like I was happy to see him making the argument, the most recent motion to dismiss. I missed him because I think he's a hell of a lawyer, and
I think he's a hell of a lawyer, and was tremendous. I cross-examined very similarly to him, and it's hard for me to Lally not as much, but sort of kind of the same thing, because my understanding is Yannetti has been her lawyer forever, right?
Yeah.
And so she goes to him, and then all of a sudden he's sort of relegated to wherever he's relegated to. And these two other guys are riding on his ticket, right?
Yep.
To be practicing in Massachusetts. And I just watching Lally sitting there while Brennan was doing this stuff.
Oh man.
And then when he was doing the back of the sweater thing, I'm just like, holy crap, what is the conversation going to be when the door closes when they're back at the office? That's what I want to know.
Do you guys think
I don't
that
think
Brennan
they like each other.
Do you guys think that Brennan is going to face any ramifications for his behavior during this trial after this is all over?
No.
Yeah, a
Not
lot
a
of people
shot.
are asking that question.
Not a shot.
Well, what if someone sends what we would call here an ARDC complaint or a disciplinary complaint to the board or to whoever oversees lawyers there, Tom?
Board of Bar Overseers.
What's that?
The Board of Bar Overseers, BBO.
Okay, won't they still call him in and have him answer questions no matter?
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't think so. Only because there's no record. Like, she let it go. You know what I mean? With all the issues that are raised, and he didn't call a rebuttal. And you know what? Yesterday when they were doing the charge conference, it was very interesting. They had Lally do the talking, and Lally was making the arguments about the issue with the hoodie. And one might say it's a smart move. Brennan, shut up. Say nothing. Don't create any further potential problems. But I mean, even if somebody complains. In my experience in New York, Melanie, anyway, what disciplinary committee is going to say, you don't like the way he tried a case, but there's no finding, there's no record, there's no evidence. There's just lawyers who say, I think he did something wrong. I don't know that would lead to anything, whether it should or shouldn't. I doubt it.
Well, because she never held an evidentiary hearing on any of the stuff that was alleged in the motion to dismiss, right? The evidence tampering, the jury tampering. There was never any evidentiary hearing held on any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get dinged for anything. Whereas, the ironic part of this is that Jackson almost assuredly is going to have to answer to the disciplinary committee in California because he got a ding. Yeah. I mean, she said that his candor to the court was, not there.
Intentional. She said intentionally.
And Brennan's wasn't when he told the judge that he didn't the discovery of the materials that he was given by the FBI.
Right.
Oh yeah, and he was given to him by the defense. Yeah, he was moving the papers around.
That those lawyers did something wrong in the pretrial setting, where she literally said, "I believe you deliberately suppressed evidence, and I believe you then, on top of that, deliberately lied." She should have said, "You're out of here." Okay, and I thought it was disgraceful for her to smear them with that allegation and yet do nothing about it. If you sincerely believe that, they got to go. You can't come into my courtroom.
Grave concerns.
Yeah, you can't come into my courtroom if I don't believe a word you say and I think you're lying and suppressing evidence. You're not even admitted. And we all know, I know personally how seriously she takes pro hoc vice admissions. So,
Well, yeah, he disparaged you in open court.
Oh, he lied. He didn't disparage me. He lied.
Yeah, well, he tried to disparage you. Okay, yeah, he lied about you. Right.
He accused me of taking information from client A and passing it to client B and being hired to be the vessel of communication between two people.
Jesus Christ.
100% full of shit lying. And I think I might have even said to you at the time, if he didn't say it in a courtroom, which he did, I would have sued him.
Yeah.
And what does he have? Like paid snitches in the car service industry that rats out witnesses on their way to court?
The Uber guys. I got an Uber guy.
And he's got Tully driving people around.
Yeah.
Tom, there was that attorney who tried a case in front Steve Gagney. Wait. It was an ADA from Norfolk County who tried a case. The defendant was Paul Fahey. The decedent was a guy named Keith Boudreau who was beat up and killed in a bar. And the ADA from Norfolk County was just recently publicly censured for calling the defendant a bully in his closing. I mean, I think I
heard you talking about that on
more egregious things than that. But what do you guys think was the best evidence looking at the case from in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth? What do you think was the best evidence for the Commonwealth?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but the interview clips.
Yeah.
And that's not
100%.
That's what I think too.
It's
compelling to me, but that I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think the clips.
Well, now that's true. I mean, because if you pluck those clips out of their case in chief, what do they have? Like,
a much shorter
perjuring witnesses.
I mean,
much shorter summation.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like Brennan didn't put on anybody that supported the proposition that John O'Keefe was hit by a motor vehicle. Like no one. Like they're literally. Like I just can't count the the Blue Man Group thing. Like that thing just didn't do it for me. But in terms of actual scientific evidence, they produced zero evidence.
The debris field.
I'm like, you didn't do, you didn't secure the scene. There's no, I had no idea where they found any of the, like you showing me a close up of a piece of taillight gives me absolutely no idea where you found that in that yard. I don't know where the debris field was.
Exactly. None of the stand-ins were found.
Can you imagine being a prosecutor? And I don't know who was or who wasn't prosecutors, but handling a case like this in the investigative phase, and you're told that there are glass shards in the hoodie. And of course you're thinking, wow, and this, Ed, this is going to come to you because this is going to be your field, but what powerful evidence. And you say, so tell me about it. What happened? And then you come to learn, well, the, obviously now terminated corrupt state trooper found it and a bunch of other evidence, and he threw it in the bag, and he just kind of kept it in the back of his car for 3 months. Yeah. But nothing to see here. It's got to be legit. I mean,
all the while in possession of the vehicle, all that time, and access to the taillight. And he picked up the otter. First of all, he had the crime scene, Mass State Police crime scene people at the hospital with him. So why didn't they, after they photographed the clothing, why didn't they package it correctly and bring it right to the lab? Why did he keep it? Other than, I mean, I know why he kept it, but he didn't follow the proper protocols, is what I'm saying.
I don't know how he did it. He did mention this in his summation, and it kind of resonated with me, but I don't know if he said it loud enough for everyone in the back and the jury to hear it clearly. But that at the time Hartnett came to collect evidence, he had all this stuff, and he didn't give her that. And I'm thinking maybe we emphasize that a little more. That is huge. It's not just like all the evidence was there and, I forgot. He's giving her evidence, and he holds back the hoodie and shirt that later has the glass. And then that there was glass on the bumper that doesn't match. And you say, who's crediting this?
Mark, if that would have happened to me in New York, and it has happened to me, I'd get to a crime scene, and then a police officer comes up to me and tries to hand me a handful of discharged cartridge cases. And I look at it and I said, oh, that's nice. That's yours now.
Yeah. Why touch that? Yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with that because you didn't follow the protocols and leave it where it was. Okay. Now I don't know where it come from. What do you expect me to try to go back and put it back? You took it. It's yours. You deal with it. And if he would have came to me as the young lady from the lab there, Hartnett, I don't want nothing to do with that. Okay. You package it up and ship it to the lab.
It's unbelievable. There are so many problems and so many coincidences. It's just fascinating to me that they even went forward on this. I mean, with an indictment. I'm not even talking about a trial.
Yeah. There are cases they handled. They did it by the book. So you can't say you didn't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. So why did you deviate so much unless it was something nefarious?
One thing that really struck me listening to the jury instructions specifically was the Bowden jury instruction and her not letting them call an expert. Because as I was listening to the Bowden, because I haven't had a Bowden in a minute, and it talks about, you can find, if you find that they did not conduct the investigation by proper standards, like they're not, you need somebody to be able to come in and talk about that.
Don't get me going on that.
They made a hell of an argument for the judge at the time said, well, you can cross-examine and people understand, but then you get these witnesses who they won't give you an inch, and they're just going to say, they're going to argue with you. And they say, well, now we need to call an expert because they're giving the jury the impression that what they did is proper and normal. And she still says no.
Yeah, well, she thought maybe the jurors watching CSI episodes would understand the proper way to do things. I mean, the jury should know. Everybody knows these days. Really?
Yeah, and
absurd.
that's I remember that. And as I'm listening to the instruction, I'm like, holy crap, man, you need an expert.
Yep.
You
They
need
had
to call
one.
an expert. Yeah, I
They
know.
had
I
one.
talked to him when
Yeah.
he got booted. I talked to him for one of my cases. He's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that was, and I thought beyond her original ruling, I thought that they absolutely opened the door. I mean, because you've got Gallagher on the stand acting as if he's going to try to go and get a patent on using a leaf blower as the new proper way to investigate.
It's got to be novel.
Shit in the snow.
It's got to be novel. I'm a patent attorney. I'll give it a go.
There you go.
No, you can't say the G word anymore, okay? It's Lieutenant Leaf Blower.
Can I just also say just how surreal some of this was? Because I'm in Canada. We get snow, and then it stays snow for like 9 months, right? You can you can meet somebody in the snow and they could have a baby and it's still snow. Like, that's how things go here. So this notion of like you can't investigate a crime scene until the snow goes away, there would be literally no solved murders in Canada ever unless they happened indoors. Like, it's just, this is bizarre. So every time they're like, what could we do? There's snow out. I'm just going, are you crazy? Like, this is bizarre to me. It's not that hard.
Ian, in the United States, there's a crime scene school to teach crime scene investigators how to process crime scenes in the snow and winter. Okay, and it's put on by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and they bounce it around the United States in all the colder environments during the winter.
Not Kansas, but okay.
There's no excuse for this. There are, and even if you don't, tangentially, there's the body farms that teach you how to do that too. It's the same processes, but without the snow.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like a Seattle cop saying, we can't process a scene in the rain. Huh? Rain's
think about
80% of the time. What are you talking about?
What do you think about Yuri showing up at the courthouse today to stand outside the courthouse? And he was right like at the courtroom door when the jury was coming in.
I got
to
a real
go to sidebar to say, get him away from the door. We don't want the jury to have to walk past him.
The guy was a witness. It's I think it's worse than weird. It's inappropriate and outrageous. I mean, the guy's a witness for the prosecution in the case who basically said she's guilty, and he's lurking around the jury, hanging out. He has no reason to be there. It's another one of these examples of like, what do they do in that courthouse in that county? Why could, of all days, is he there? There's no reason.
Intimidation.
They don't know who
That's right.
Brian Albert is.
That's right. And that time he said he wanted a dictionary. Because English is not his first language.
Third language.
Yeah. Well, guess what? That same word is found in Ukrainian language and Russian language too, and it has the same definition in both of those languages.
That's true. Theory.
Can we give him a shout out though for really getting into reading those messages? I mean,
he really did a very good job reading. Like,
he really did.
He should get his SAD card.
He should.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this cop thing doesn't work out for him, he might have another calling, because he didn't want to do it at first, but then he got into it and he really read the text with feeling. He really did.
Yeah, it had the right information and everything. It was great. Like that was the best part of his entire testimony, was reading the text messages.
He was reading for a part in a cop movie.
That was one of my favorite parts of the trial. What do you think? I mean, what do you guys want to talk about? I'll toss it to you.
I want to talk about some of the stuff that in the instructions. I was a little bit confused because if I understood correctly from the instruction conference, the prosecution didn't want to have any lesser includeds for manslaughter. If I understood correctly what they were saying, that's what it sounded like. So it sounded like the defense was the one asking for all the lesser includeds for manslaughter, which I didn't really understand. I mean, the naked DUI charge, I guess, kind of, but I don't really understand why you would give them the other options for manslaughter. That doesn't really make sense. And I was also confused by their withdrawal of their motion for giving the missing witness instruction. I didn't really understand either of those. So if anyone has thoughts on those two issues, I'd like some, second opinions.
Yeah, I thought asking for the standalone OUI charge was a mistake because in my opinion, it's going to cause them to deliberate longer because if they go in and do a straw poll, the only question they need to ask is, do you believe that John O'Keefe was hit by a car? Yes or no. If the answer is no, we all go home. But now the answer is not, if the answer is no, we don't all go home because now we got to decide if we think she's guilty of drunk driving by itself. So I'm not happy about that. And it carries up to 2.5 years in jail, by the way, in Massachusetts for first time. A lot of people say she would never see the inside of a jail cell. I say Kim Jong-un wants to put her away for something to make people.
Tom had a pretty solid thought with respect to the why they may have asked for the standalone OUI, which Tom, why don't you spit it at him again? Because to me that makes probably the most sense.
I just think that I think that Karen was spooked by the rumors of the 9-3 or 8-4 hung part of one of the more serious charges last time, and the former juror going around and explaining why that was, basically because she was there, he was there, and he's dead. That's why we were about to convict her of that. And the fact that a former juror who wound up being an alternate but was a juror all the same, nonetheless, was part of the defense team as a lawyer. I think that based on what they were hearing from both former jurors, Karen probably asked the question, or they asked her the question, because they probably told them what was being talked about back there, and I think that she probably said, why don't we ask for that? Because if they want to convict me of something, give them that instead of what they were looking at last time.
But why so many? Why 7 options? I didn't know they were all the defense options. That seems.
Well, the rest of them in the manslaughter, I believe, or no, the manslaughter. There's lesser included charges that are automatically included inside of one of the charges.
Well, not automatically. That's what I'm saying. I don't think, if I understood the prosecution, I don't think they wanted any of the lesser included, and that's the way I heard it, at least.
And his closing, that's what he made it sound like.
And at the jury instruction conference, I thought the prosecution did say we're not asking for any lessers.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense to me. I certainly can understand in some circumstances, but not in this fact pattern. I don't know why you want to give them more outs to come to a compromise verdict. It's like, well, we have to convict her or something, and give them more ways to get there, as opposed to forcing their hand by, making them actually confront the issue. Because the jurors don't, of course, understand what those charges mean in terms of penalty. So they might think that because they, went down lesser, that necessarily means a lesser sentence. So well, no, it doesn't. Manslaughter is manslaughter. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just different theories of the crime.
But the OUI has nothing to do with anybody dying. So that's odd.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And the thing is that it might be the thing that ends up breaking a juror deadlock, in the sense that if you've got somebody who's like, she's got to walk out of here with something, or else I'm going to hang this jury. Mm-hmm. That person might be willing to be like, okay, well, we can't agree on the, on an impact, on a collision, but we can agree she maybe had a few drinks and was in a car. So and the thing is she might prefer to do 2.5 years than another trial.
Right, and we're all saying that. The question that stands from uncivil laws question. I'm sorry, I forget your first name.
Kurt.
Is that I apologize. Hi, I'm Allison.
What's up?
Just saying hello.
Formal introductions.
I'm the only one that doesn't have my name on the screen now. I realize. I guess I could fix that.
I'm getting some peeking in stink eye because we're going out to dinner, so I need to.
There you go.
Thanks for coming, Mark. Thanks for joining the party.
You guys I didn't meet, and good talking again. All right, take care.
Thanks, Mark.
See you, Mark.
Bye.
Tell your wife I'm sorry.
Is why 7? Why all the other lessers that all deal with an accident? And I mean, I just don't know if when they said we're not asking for any lessers, if they said any lessers, if they said like that lesser, I'm just not sure, because it does seem strange that the defense would put in 5 other options that deal with hitting.
Yeah. Well, from a non-lawyer perspective, okay, it's going to give that irrational juror an out, right? All of those other ones, you have to have the accident. Well, they
Right.
already proved there was no accident. So
Right.
all of those lessers are negated. The only out you have is the OUI. We
Right.
had a case here in New York City in Queens where a retired sergeant was taking a shower and his wife murdered him with 2 of his guns. She killed him in the shower, shot him with both guns. Okay.
Wow.
She goes to trial. She does a burning bed defense type thing. The jury convicted her of criminal possession of a firearm without a license. Okay.
Wow.
She got away with the murder, and then when they were polled later, it was just as you said. One of them was hanging them, and that's what they did. That's what they came up with. So you never can tell. The thought process to me is not rational, but that's what they did to get out of that jury room.
Karen Reed does not. You're right. Karen Reed would rather do 2.5 on an OUI than have another trial.
Yeah.
And the thing is another trial. Brennan's going to bring, or whoever it is, it might not be Brennan, is going to bring better experts. And the defense is going to be.
I thought they were being better experts this time. That's like they had their choice, man.
No, I think that wall is impenetrable now that there was no accident. Between the medical evidence and the engineering, and by the way, there's no such thing as an engineering to a degree of engineering certainty.
Thank you.
I've never heard of that before.
It's scientific certainty for
a new one.
Yeah,
that made me crazy too.
He said some other crazy certainties.
I think that wall is up, and I don't think that wall can come down now.
Unless the defense runs out of money and can't actually bring experts the next time. And, all of this is...
I mean, in Illinois, you can, if you're now indigent, and that would include you not having to borrow from friends and family.
Sure.
But if she's got no money left, even if she's got paid, private lawyers, you can petition the county to pay the fees. Is that the same there, Tom?
Yes. Yeah. But the more frequent thing that happens here is, which is why I have a specifically designed business model that does not include a lot of Superior Court big cases, because nobody can really afford. I don't know that I've ever made a profit on the business end. I don't know that I've ever made a profit on a Superior Court serious, like a life felony trial, because people who are being charged with that do not have the money that it actually costs to pay for the lawyer, for the investigators, for the Cellbrite people, for the doctors. It is so expensive. But the more frequent thing that happens is that people will retain a private attorney, pay that fee or those fees, pay some fees, and then as the expenses go up, as long as you can show that the person is now indigent, you can now petition the court for money for attorney's fees, and for, more importantly, the investigators and the expert witnesses and things.
But there's a cap on.
Wouldn't Canone also have some review over that? Like, hey, we're not funding this expert, or she'd be like,
that's not relevant.
Yeah, you don't need a crash. You don't need a collision investigator. No. You're guilty. So let's just get to get that over and done.
I mean, that's definitely an issue that the judge needs to find, that there's a good basis for this expert that you're asking for, that you're not just fishing, And I've run into problems in state court in Illinois, although never in federal court, with trying to do those ex parte, where I'm saying I don't have to spell everything out. I understand Your Honor needs to know why I need this witness and this expert and what supports it, but you can't make me have to tell them. And every single time in state court, they make me do it. They make me do it not ex parte, and then I still try to file an ex parte portion of it and just whatever. But in federal court, it's specifically specified that is an ex parte proceeding when an indigent defendant is looking for funds for an expert, and they've got to give the details as to what they expect this expert to find and why they think the expert is important.
All right, guys. It was a pleasure meeting you all. I'm going to have to run. Melanie, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Ed,
You
for
too, Ed.
coming.
Me too. I got 3 cats that are staring at me because they're hungry right now.
All right. Well, we
That
can
was
wrap
a
up.
softball, Tom, and I'm not even going to respond to that at all.
Wait, but Tom, you got to know there was a study done by the University of
Oh,
Glasgow.
here we go. Here we go. Are you a Yankees fan by chance?
Actually, Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, okay.
Okay. In the 70s, it was really tough in New York to be a Cincinnati Red fan. That's because my father came from there. But anyhow, I was getting into fights with Yankees fans all the time. But you know the study I'm going to quote?
No, I do not.
There was a study.
I'm sure it's going to be kind to Massachusetts, though. Go ahead.
No, okay. There's a study from the University of Glasgow said that your domestic cat, if it was big enough, it would kill you.
Of course it would.
That's right. They
And
have all the same.
if I die and it's
My cat?
unattended and I'm in the middle of nowhere right now, they will eat me. There's no
They will
question.
I've had that happen at crime scenes, and I got attacked by one of those cats.
And you know what? I could not think of a better way for me to go.
Oh, Lord. Oh,
Just put in your
Lord.
will, like, please.
I
let
welcome
the
it. I
cat
hope
go.
you know what that might be it. That might be it. A little, yeah.
I'm
Please
sorry,
let
but
my
that
cat
cat that attacked me had to be put down, and I had to go get tetanus shots.
Rabies seems more appropriate than tetanus.
Well, it was tetanus because it was eating its owner.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ed.
Thanks, Ed Wallace. Thanks, Tom, for coming.
Good to see you. Nice
Unless
to
you're
meet
going to
you
hang out
all.
a little
Nice to
more.
meet you,
You
Tom.
have an
Thanks,
open
Tom.
invitation. You
Nice
can
to
come on
meet you,
any day.
man.
You're not actually, practicing law, and you want to come do some trial. I don't know how much longer.
Are you gonna be doing jury watch on Monday?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're here all day.
I'll hang with you.
I'm here all
Yeah.
week, so
We're planning on having you on, Runkle, too. People need more Runkle. So I
Yeah.
told them we're going to have you on our channel as well.
Sounds good.
On a
I'll
smaller,
be done in
smaller
court probably by 11. So,
pop on. Just text me. I'll send you the link.
okie doke.
How long
See
do you
you
think
guys.
this is going to go, you guys? What do you?
Tuesday.
That's long.
All of you. How long do you think how long do you think this is going to take? And what do you think the final outcome is going to be?
Tuesday morning, not guilty across the board.
There you go.
I think that's a solid bet, but it's either that or like Friday and we get
Tuesday
a hung
just
jury.
after lunch. They're gonna get their free lunch. I guarantee you. Tuesday just
Yeah,
after
they
lunch.
usually want that. They want
Yeah.
that.
Get
I
my
do like
sandwich
lunch.
first.
Yeah,
if it goes beyond Tuesday, I agree with Runkle that we're
in for a fight.
could be a hung jury.
All it takes is one. All it takes is one.
It
I'm
better
going,
not be. I do not think I have it in me to do this a third time, guys. I've watched
Oh
this
my
entire
God.
trial back to back twice. I
You're
don't
talking
think I can
about
go
black
for
holes
3.
and stuff. You're talking about black holes and stuff
That's
at this
true.
point, right?
Vortexes.
Clearly,
have
you need a break. You need a break.
I'm going Monday afternoon. That's when I think it's gonna
Tom.
come out, after post lunch.
They do try people 3 and 4 times in Massachusetts after hung juries. Yes.
Oh yes, that
At
the
$1 million a ticket, do you think they would do it again?
Speaking of Gagne was the prosecutor on the I can't even remember the name of the case, but it has to do with expert witnesses 4 times, I think, and on the 4th time it was a manslaughter instead of a first-degree murder.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
They do it. It's the land of the lost. That's why we have Chaka as our mascot.
It's because the district attorney is elected.
I don't know if I don't know if this is
What
a
is
safe
that?
question to ask. If it was,
Chaka from Land of the Lost. Are you too young to remember Land of the Lost from
All
1974?
right. I am definitely out of here now that
1977?
we're at Land of Sleestack is what should be up there.
But she had that picture above my shoulder. I'm like, I think I look too much like that little guy. He can't be there.
Sometimes we have Michael Proctor overlooking us because he is the villain here, the boogeyman. And sometimes we have
I've got my
Dexter.
board behind me.
Hi,
He
Tom.
pops up every once in a while.
Dexter for obvious reasons because some people need killing.
That's a Texas defense for murder.
Final thoughts, questions, comments, concerns before you wrap this. I've been on here for like 9 hours and 58 minutes. And
You've been going, girl. Yeah, it's been a long one.
it's been like, oh, okay. Andrea's like, hey, we just ended. If you're still going, let me grab a sandwich and I'll head over. It's like open
No
house.
sandwich.
Come on in.
No sandwich. You gotta come over. Is it a ham sandwich?
Of course it is.
Andrea and I,
Why?
we're supposed to
Doesn't
do something
include
with
chips.
Andrea on Monday as well. Maybe we can figure out something there too. But I've got no
a fridge
final
full of
thoughts.
ham.
I've said it. I've said a lot.
You said it all.
Yeah, my final thought is not guilty. End of day Friday. Not guilty on all counts. And
and you're going end of day Friday for that?
Oh no, Monday. I'm sorry. Monday.
Whew.
Yeah. No,
we just said that went into hung jury territory.
Common sense has to win the day here, and
it could be an OUI charge.
I think there's a real chance on the OUI.
Yeah. Now's a good time to get into those betting markets, right? I don't know what poly market is at now, but the way the bet is written, right? It's like if count 1 or count 2, and since the DUI is included within count 2, man, it's like I've sent out a tweet. It's like, oh yeah, my odds of a conviction on count 1 or count 2 is now 90%.
Wait,
because it's like we're including the naked DUI charge.
Is there really a way to bet on this?
Oh, 100%. Poly market has betting pools going on this. 100% they do.
Can you look up the odds right now while we're here? Because I'm really curious to see what they are.
Mean? I can't even play poker from Illinois. Not on my digital device. I have to go to the casino. But
Allie and Bob, did you go over the verdict slip? Because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't even looked.
We looked at it briefly right before we came over to you.
Is there a not guilty box? Because here's what the argument was this morning from Yannetti is that there for the 7 lesser includeds, there was only 7 guilty boxes and 1 not guilty box. And he said, I want a not guilty box on every one. And she said, well, you have no case law? No, I'm not doing it.
No,
so let's see if I can buy in on as a Canadian, because they've got acquitted on all charges at 83% chance. Guilty at 20% chance.
Wow.
I'm like, share my screen, Melanie.
And these are the bookmakers, and
so the bets go up. You're making more money if you say she gets found guilty on something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because it's all about what people.
How do I share your screen, Kurt?
There's an option there somewhere to like present it or something. It's within that. You can figure it out.
Yeah, I see the present. But like, can you present? Can I let you present? Do I give you permissions to present?
I see present on as an option on my screen. Maybe.
Yeah, Kurt, do you not have that option there at the bottom?
I don't have. Yeah, give me management rights over your stream. That's gonna end real well for everyone, I'm sure.
Dude, I don't know how to. Dude, you're like I'm on my last breath right now. My voice is fried.
Let me answer
Does
that
it not
question.
pop like in the bottom or on the side or something where you can add it to the stream or something like that? Or
not your screen.
All right, fine. I'll just read it so we can do it this week. But anyways, it's polymarket.com where you can bet on all kinds of things. Right now, they have Karen Reed guilty on count 1 or count 2 at 20%. And that's been falling actually all day. And I think they've got that underpriced because of the things we just mentioned. And
we'll tell them.
Yeah, I did. And they have acquitted on all charges at 83%. Now, it should be mentioned that this is just based on what people are actually betting. So these numbers are just coming from people just buying it as a prop bet. So, and in terms of the market for the conviction, it's $147,000 currently being bet on this market.
So
and for the acquittal,
wait, how much money is
How
much money is out there?
Well, between the two, it's just over $200,000 between the two markets.
So what do I get paid out if I?
That's like Larry DUI guy. That's one bet for him. That's like he's the only guy betting on this.
If you put $100 down on no, and you win, you get $224.88.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks,
On
Ian.
no meaning not guilty.
No meaning that she's convicted on at least one count. If you put $100 on yes, then you win $100.
Straight odds. Yeah.
I'm about to go bet if I can. I don't know. But Mel, to answer your question about the jury verdict slip, so we looked at it. The first line is not guilty on the original charge or any lessers.
Yeah, they picked that up from the last verdict form. Yeah.
And then under that says guilty on this, guilty on that, guilty on this, guilty on that. So there is the first option does say, instead of just not guilty, it says not guilty on the charged offense or any of the lessers. But I still wish she would have explained, if you decide she's not guilty on that or any of the lessers, you just sign the not guilty and ignore all the guilty. If you think guilty, you pick below which one you think she's guilty of. But what doesn't, I guess the first one is probably the as charged one. But yeah, it's a lot.
It's confusing. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there could be one holdout. Some people would say a plant. I'm not going to say a plant, but there could be one holdout, and we could be looking at another mistrial. And I think it's very possible. And I think people should be prepared for it. And we can all see through the bullshit, but I think you never know.
You never know. You never know. I mean, people definitely have to be prepared for that because there could be a few holdouts. I mean, you don't know. I mean, Hank may have resonated with this bullshit with somebody or a few people. You know?
I do want to thank all our mods and all the people watching from our channel. We are going to tomorrow. We're gonna, if we don't come back later tonight to do the jury watch with you guys coming on. I know. I don't think
that's not happening.
Okay.
Like I've got a softball game.
We'll do that, right? We'll do it tomorrow. And we'll also go through some of the supers because we've got a separate way to track them and go over some of the questions that we didn't get a chance to get.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We tried to incorporate in without putting them all up, but
I did try and put them up as I could, but it's just, it's overwhelming. You guys are overwhelmingly generous and we are so grateful and we love each and every one of you. Kurt, are you streaming on your channels as well? Kurt and
100%.
Ian?
Of course I am.
Okay. Ian, are you?
Yeah. In an hour, I'm going to be going over the closings. So
nice.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Why don't I redirect then to you? Do you have your redirect set up so I can do that?
I think so, but I don't know because I'm bad at this.
All right. Let me just see if I can, because if I can, I will. And I'll send everyone over to you and you can take an hour break and all that good stuff. I'm done for the day. I'm stick a fork in me.
Hey, start your weekend. Start your weekend. You've earned it. It's been a long.
Are we
Everyone get some pizza
on tomorrow? Are we doing our members only live?
I'll have to figure it. It's a 4-day tournament, babe. Like our daughter's playing softball. I got to look at it. And I don't know when the games are because it's all dependent on what happens tonight. So,
okay.
I mean, if we can get it in, we'll get it in for sure. You know.
All right, so I've redirected to Runkle for 7:30,
yes.
So it will teleport you over there automatically from my stream. I don't know if you guys have to do that separately.
Oh yeah, Bob.
I listen. I'm
what?
I'm,
send it over to Ian. All right.
Yeah,
I'm teleporting my people to Ian, so I don't know.
Okay,
we still have like 20,000 people on mine, and so between all of us, we probably have like I don't know 30,000+ people for all of the diehards.
Oh.
You can take a 45-minute dinner break and head on over to Runkle's for some more fun this evening.
For sure. All right, hold on. Don't kill it. I'm going in there.
Set it up too. So I'll set up mine to redirect to Runkle too. He can take my 2,000.
All right, Runkle. We got about 6,000 in ours. I'm going to send them all to Uncle Runkle.
The OUI charge would have to be unanimous as well. Yes.
Yes. Unanimous.
This was really great. I've been trying to get together like a LawTube is outraged stream, and I kept having this idea in my head for a long time to do it like on a Sunday or something. And I'm just so happy that it just worked out that everybody was ready and available today, and we all just jumped on, and it was totally last minute. And spontaneous plans are sometimes often the best plans. So thank you, all of you guys, for coming on, and and for all of your viewers for watching on your channels. And I mean, thank God that there's worldwide interest in this case, because this should not be happening in 2025 in the U.S. of such United States of America.
Scary.
Not when we all have eyes and we can see the arm and the lack of any bruises or damage, and that should have been the end right there.
Yeah, the python is the state. That's what Andrew always likes to say. The python is the state. All right. We love all our people out there. Ian, I sent everybody over to you. Have fun tonight. Don't work too hard. Kurt, have an amazing weekend, brother. It was a good hanging. Mel, thanks for having us. We love hanging with you. Yeah.
Peace out, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see y'all real soon. Say goodnight, Gracies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.